Hi everyone and welcome to the first episode of Classic Mini Maintenance and Repairs. In this episode I'm going to show you how to do a full premium service on your Classic Mini along with upgrading the air filter to a sports air filter for better performance. So let's have a look and see what we need to do this. Okay guys, so to do this we're going to need a new air filter. We've got some air filter oil, we've got an oil filter, got a fuel filter, get some gloves, get some new spark plugs, got some engine flush which I'll explain a bit more about in a second. I've got some oil treatment, I've got some Red X petrol treatment, got my Haynes manual, and we've got 8 litres of the Castrol Magnatec 1040. I swear by this stuff, this is the only oil I'll use when I'm servicing my cars. And tools wise we'll need a bucket for collecting the old oil, get a set of Allen keys, get a spark plug key, screwdriver, oil filter wrench, get a socket set, get a set of ramps and a set of wheel chucks. Okay, so back to the engine flush. Now this is a bit of a controversial subject. I'm sure there'll be somebody in the comments saying no way should you put this in your engine, it's a bad idea, etc, etc. Now I've owned several high mileage cars and vans ranging from 100,000 to 250,000 miles, and every single one of them I've used engine flush and no problems whatsoever. In fact, it's made the car better. But it's completely up to you. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research, and if you feel you could benefit from using it, then go ahead. If you don't want to risk it, then don't. But I will say that in the past, before this stuff was invented, what guys would do is get like a cup of diesel, just regular diesel you'd put in your car, and they'd put a cup of that in their engine and it'd do the exact same job. It would just slush about the engine, dissolve all the sludge, it would get all the deposits off the sump, clean out your oil pump, etc. I recommend it. So after you've done this, obviously you've stripped out everything that's sticking to your engine and got rid of all the gumph. I highly recommend you use an oil treatment. And what this does is it just helps protect the engine components after you do a flush and get rid of all the grime and stuff that's been there for years. Okay, so to start us off I'm going to go ahead and remove the old airbox. It's just 3 Allen key bolts on top and they just pop out. Then underneath you'll see that there's a yellow pipe and a black pipe. We need to remove the black pipe, and then we're going to take off the air sensor. So crack on and do that. Okay, that's quite easy. Now, it should just pop off. Yep. And this is the yellow black cable, pipe I was talking about. We're going to remove the black pipe. You should just be able to take it off and disconnect your air sensor. There we go. And that is the airbox off. Easy as that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my foam air filter oil and start oiling up the new air filter. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Got a nice even coverage of the oil on the foam. You can see there's no dark patches where it's dry. It's got nice easy even coverage, and that's what we're looking for. There's a bit extra around the base in it, and I'll just take a bit of workshop tool, clean that up before I put it on. Okay, so what I'll do now is just reconnect the plug to the sensor. And put the filter onto the base. So you just want to make sure when you're putting the filter back on that it goes on nice and flush with the rubber to the top of the intake. And just squeeze it on. There we go. Okay, so just making sure that it's flush all the way around. Get your Jubilee clip and start screwing on. Okay, that seems to be nice and tight, and we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, so about a week ago I put a full bottle of the Redex petrol system cleaner into the tank. I probably had about a full tank of petrol and ran that down to maybe just over a half. And that just gives it a chance to kind of work through the pipe work and clear up any gunk that's kicking about and dissolve anything that's going to block up the injectors. So if you do that in about a week in advance before your service, it should put you in good standing for changing the fuel filter and having a good running engine. Okay, so next up we'll take our paint pen and we'll mark up the spark plugs, the HT leads, so that we know which order they came off when we put them back on. So I just put lines, so the 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, and you can't go wrong because it's marked out in front of you. Okay, so just pop the leads off. And you take your spark plug key and just undo the spark plugs. Okay, so when putting in your new spark plugs, you want to be very careful not to cross thread. If you end up cross threading or over tighten them, you'll actually strip the threads that are on the block. Now, if you do that, then there's no other option to really take the cylinder head off and get the plug holes helicoiled, which is a pain in the arse, and you really don't want to go down that route. So just be very careful. So basically, if you put it in and it spins freely, finger tight all the way down to the base, then you'll have no problems. If you feel it fighting as you screw it in, then you need to take it out and have a look, make sure there's no nothing in the cross threads or any damaged threads that are making it not going. So that one went in all the way down to the bottom, no bother at all. Next one. So same again. Okay, so if you're wanting to a bit anal about it, you could use a torque wrench, look up the torque settings in the Haynes book and do that, but I generally just put the key back on and then go kind of loosely tight and then just kind of pinch it up. You don't want to over tighten it, you'll strip the threads, but then you don't want it to be too slack, otherwise you'll have the gases escaping, or in a really bad scenario the spark plug shooting back out. So I'd say that was tight enough. Move on to the next one. Okay, then just put your plugs back on, same order they came off, so number 4 on that one. And you want to push them down till you hear the click. 1, 2. Okay. And then to remove the paint pen, a little bit of WD-40, careful not to get any on the belt. And a bit of workshop tool, it should just wipe off. Okay, so that was the spark plugs. Next we'll get the car up on the ramps, chock the back wheels, and we'll leave it running for 10 minutes and then we'll do the oil change. Okay, so we've got the Mini up on the ramp, we've got the chucks behind the back wheels to stop it rolling back. I've added the engine flush directly to the engine and we'll let that run for 10 minutes, enough time to enjoy a cup of tea. And while that's working its way around the engine, it'll clean out the oil pump, get rid of the sludge in the sump and anything else that's glazed up around the engine. So I'll enjoy my tea and then we'll come back and do the oil change. Okay, so this is the sump plug. You'll find it at the bottom of your engine on the driver's side. And I've already cracked it off with the ratchet, so it's just finger tight now. I've got my pan set up ready to collect the oil that pops out. Now obviously if you've ran your engine for 10 minutes while working the flush through, the engine oil is going to be extremely hot, and apart from that, used engine oil is a known carcinogenic, so you really don't want to get any on your skin because A, it will burn you, and B, it's cancerous. So you want to collect it in your tub so you can safely dispose of it at your local recycling centre. So I'll just go ahead and crack this off, and there's a copper washer behind here. If you don't have a spare one, then you can use the same one again if it's in good condition. If it's not in good condition, you really will need to get another one. But it should be okay, I think. Okay, so that's the oil ready to come out now. I'll just put. I'm just using the bolt to control the speed of the flow, because obviously there's more in here, and if I let go, it'll probably shoot out about half a foot across and hit my wheel. So I'll just control the flow for now. Okay, so if you don't already have a magnetic sump plug, then I'd recommend that you get one. Basically, with the gearbox and the engine using the same oil, if there's any shards of metal or anything that's going to start wearing down, it will go to the bottom of the sump, and this magnet, let's see if it sticks in, it will collect all the sharps and bits of broken metal. So come service time, you can take the sump plug out, and if there's any chunks on it, then you know you've got some kind of major problem ready to happen on your car. Okay, so I'll get this cleaned up and back in the car, and then we'll crack on. Okay, so that's the oil drained out the car and the sump plug back in. Next thing is to take our screwdriver and undo the bolts around the grill, and then we're going to remove the grill and then remove the old oil filter. Okay, so with the grill off the car, that gives you access to the oil filter. That's just the oil filter in there, you can just see it. And with a bucket underneath the car to collect the oil that's going to come out, we'll crack on. If you're lucky, it might just be on hand tight. They shouldn't really be on super tight. Okay, so with the old oil filter off, what we'll do now is take the new oil filter, and a little cap of fresh engine oil, just dip your finger in, so you've got a little bit, not too much, but a little bit, and then we'll just put some around the seal of the new oil filter, like so. That will just help it seal. Okay, and then we're going to take our new engine oil, fill up the oil filter, and then screw it in place. Now, when you're screwing it back in, you don't want to tighten it up with the oil wrench, you just want to go as far as you physically can with your own hand, just nip it up nice and tight with your hand. Okay, so that's me just getting the last few drops of engine oil, and that's us all topped up. So what I'll do now is I'll take the oil treatment. Okay, so I've ran this under the tap for a couple of minutes just to try and warm it up a little bit so it's a bit easier to pour in. And I've dried it off obviously so no water gets into the engine. So we'll just pour this into the engine, and then we'll get the car off the ramps and let it sit for a couple of minutes, let all the oil settle, then we'll check the level on the dipstick and then see if we need to add any extra oil. Okay, so I've ran the engine for a couple of minutes and let the oil work itself around the system. Then just kind of parked up, left it 5 minutes, let all the oil sink back down, and now we're going to check on the dipstick and see if we need to add any more oil. And we're sitting just pretty much bang on maximum, a little bit shy but that's okay, but well within the limits anyway. So that is how you do the air filter, spark plugs, engine flush, and now we'll move on to do the fuel filter. Okay, so this is the fuel filter. You'll find it on the left hand side of the subframe, just across from the back box, and it's supposed to have a bracket that secures it in place. Mine's is obviously corroded to the point where it's just hanging loose, so I'll need to find a new bracket before I get this back on the road. As you can see, it's quite obvious that the fuel filter hasn't been changed in a long time. It's well overdue a change. I can't even see why you would put that bracket back on, it's that bad. I think if I just pulled it it'd snap in half. Anyway, right, I'll get this off and we'll come back to it. Okay, so with the battery disconnected and the fuel lines disconnected from the fuel tank, what you want to do now is take your two spanners and start to undo the nuts. Now you will get a drip of petrol coming out, so you want to have some workshop tool ready to kind of catch any of the drips, or a little kind of jug so that it can flow into nicely. It will come out pretty quick because we've already taken away the pipes at the top, so we'll just drain out pretty quick. And we'll crack on and we'll come back to it. Okay, so we'll finally get it off. It was very corroded at this end, so I'll maybe just even replace that pipe. It looks like it's pretty far gone, so there's no point risking it. And we'll just have a look, see what colour the petrol is that comes out. Wow. So I managed to get the pipe off, and it's far too gone to put back on. There's no point putting something this corroded back on your car if it's got heavy signs of corrosion, then it's not going to last long and it's only going to cause you problems further down the line. So get a new one of these ordered. Well, I might get a new bracket ordered, I don't know yet. What I've just discovered is there's actually a kink in the pipe, so I'm thinking maybe transferring the whole filtration system up into the boot next to the tank, and just cutting this bit out and just having it straight into the boot. So I'm going to go away, have a think about that, and then when I come back I've made my mind up. Okay, so I've went away and thought about it, and I've decided that obviously this is all too far corroded and got a kink in the pipe, so can't go ahead and use it. The bracket's shot, so instead of buying the 3 individual parts and replacing it at a later date, I think I'm just going to crack ahead and use some inline filters and some rubber fuel hose pipe, and kind of make up my own little system in the boot area next to the tank. And so this is the system I went for. So I've just taken the original rubber fuel pipe, it was in pretty good condition, chopped up into sections, got some Jubilee clips, and this is an inline fuel filter for, I think it was a spare part for a tractor. You'll find them on eBay for a couple of £. And the reason I've put this clear one on first is so that I can keep an eye on any of the crud that's coming from the fuel tank. so I don't get in the same situation it was in before. And underneath I've got a inline car air fuel filter. I think I bought this to put on my wife's micro. I can't really remember where this one came from, it's been kicking about for quite a while. There's the numbers there if you want to use the same one. And again, that's just like a bigger inline filter, but again it's for a car. I know it's definitely for a car, so it will do the job it's intended. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. So it looks more kind of race car kind of looking. It'll definitely do the job. And then again underneath, just the same Jubilee clip on the onto the original pipe, and yeah, it all fits pretty well, works good, and that's that done. Well guys, that is how you do a full premium service on your classic Mini. Now I guarantee if you do a major service list, your Mini will run better and it will thank you for it in the long run. So thanks for watching the first episode. There's plenty more to come. If you hit the subscribe button, I'll be back next week with more videos. And I'll put this last screen. I'll see you guys next time.